I've heard of King Solomon, a legendary figure in history whose wisdom and wealth became symbols of power. When I think of him, I can't help but feel the contradictions in the life of a man who once stood at the peak of glory, but also endured some of the darkest moments. Solomon, the wisest of kings, was once granted divine blessings, but ultimately faced a tragic downfall. It was a journey full of highs and lows, from the light of wisdom to the shadow of regret. In his youth, at the beginning of his reign, Solomon asked God for wisdom. He didn't ask for wealth or power, but simply for the ability to lead his people rightly. And God heard his prayer, granting him not only wisdom but also wealth and long life. This transformed Solomon into the ideal model of a king, capable of solving complex problems and bringing peace to his people. Stories of his wisdom spread far and wide, attracting the attention of many famous figures, including the Queen of Sheba, who visited him to test what she had heard. Who says that a golden crown is a symbol of happiness? King Solomon, one of the wealthiest and most powerful kings in history, proved the opposite. With his extraordinary wisdom and boundless wealth, he built a mighty empire. But behind the glittering facade were pains and regrets that only he could understand. Solomon's story is a profound lesson about the fleeting nature of fame and power, as well as a reminder of the importance of faith and humility. King Solomon, the son of King David, was one of the greatest kings in the history of the Kingdom of Israel. Not only renowned for his extraordinary wisdom, Solomon was also known as a symbol of prosperity, power, and stability during his reign. As the third king of Israel, he led the country through a golden age where Israel's cultural, financial, and diplomatic developments reached their peak. However, these achievements were not solely due to Solomon's personal talents, but also the result of the grace that God had bestowed upon him. It was the combination of wisdom, foresight, and trust in God that helped Solomon become one of the most famous kings in world history. One of the key elements that contributed to Solomon's fame was his unparalleled wisdom. The legend of his intelligence and insight continues to be passed down through famous stories, one of which stands out: the difficult decision Solomon had to make between two women. When two women came before him, each claiming to be the mother of a child, Solomon did not hastily pass judgment. Instead, he ordered a sword to be brought and proposed to divide the child in half. The real mother immediately responded, asking that the child not be harmed. With his keen wisdom, Solomon realized that the woman who was unwilling to have the child killed was the true mother, and he made the right judgment. This decision demonstrated his great wisdom and shaped his image as a king of justice, fairness, and intellect. But Solomon's wisdom was not only evident in personal decisions, but also in his ability to lead the nation. Solomon built a strong administrative system with skilled officials and stable political structures. He laid a solid foundation for Israel's development in every aspect, from culture to economics. Under his leadership, Israel became the commercial and cultural hub of the region, a destination attracting other nations. Solomon knew how to establish strategic diplomatic relationships, particularly with powerful nations like Egypt and Phoenicia, facilitating trade and growth. Solomon's prosperity came not only from his leadership skills, but also from his trade development strategies and the exploitation of natural resources. The Kingdom of Israel, under Solomon's reign, thrived with trade routes connecting nations from the Gulf to Egypt, creating a vibrant trading system. Additionally, Solomon exploited gold, silver, and copper mines, providing the kingdom with abundant financial resources. These resources were used to fund grand architectural projects, the most notable of which was Solomon's Temple, one of the greatest structures in ancient history. The Temple of Solomon, built over 7 years, was not only a place of worship but also a symbol of the power, prosperity, and faith of the Israelites. With its exquisite design and the use of precious materials, the temple reflected not only the wealth of Israel, but also the nation's unwavering devotion to God. The temple became a testament to Solomon's vision and skill in creating monumental structures, serving not only religious needs but also affirming the prosperity and influence of Israel. In addition to the temple, Solomon constructed many palaces and other public works, establishing a modern and solid infrastructure. These projects not only boosted the economy, but also played a key role in building a stable and thriving society. These construction efforts showcase Solomon's meticulousness and dexterity in managing the nation's resources. Solomon's fame was not confined to the borders of Israel. His reputation attracted the attention of other great leaders, including the Queen of Sheba, who, having heard of Solomon's wisdom and wealth, decided to visit Jerusalem. The encounter between Solomon and the Queen of Sheba is one of the most significant events in history. She brought valuable gifts, but also received from Solomon profound lessons on wisdom, ethics, and governance. This meeting not only elevated Solomon's reputation, but also strengthened diplomatic ties between Israel and Sheba, opening a new era of cooperation and cultural exchange between nations. Beyond his political and economic achievements, Solomon left a remarkable literary legacy. He is credited with authoring the books of Proverbs, Song of Songs, and Ecclesiastes in the Bible. These works are not only teachings on wisdom in life, but also reflect deep moral values, such as humility, compassion, and the importance of intellect. These values have had a far-reaching impact and continue to inspire millions of people around the world. However, all of Solomon's achievements were inseparable from God's intervention. When Solomon ascended the throne, God appeared to him in a dream and asked what he desired. Solomon, instead of asking for wealth or power, requested wisdom to govern the people of Israel. God not only granted him wisdom, but also gave him wealth and power, making his reign the most prosperous in Israel's history. Solomon's success is a clear testament to God's love and grace, and it also serves as a lesson in humility, faith, and trust in divine guidance. Despite Solomon's remarkable achievements, standing at the pinnacle of prosperity and power, he ultimately could not avoid the painful downfall of his dynasty. Known for his rare wisdom and special relationship with God, Solomon began his reign as a promising king, distinguished by his wise decisions and strong leadership. Yet power and wealth gradually led him into error. One of the main causes of his downfall was his spiritual decline and the wrong decisions he made in his personal life. As Solomon began forming political alliances by marrying many princesses from neighboring kingdoms, he inadvertently expanded his influence, but also opened the door to spiritual degradation. While these marriages initially helped strengthen political relations and solidify his monarchy, his polygamy became the source of many wrong decisions. Many of these wives followed different religions, and Solomon gradually allowed them to influence his spiritual life. He not only built temples to foreign gods, but also began to adopt the beliefs of these wives, slowly abandoning his original faith. The construction of temples to foreign gods and the worship of idols was not just a personal mistake, but also an act of betrayal against God. This abandonment of faith led to the weakening of his power and the eventual collapse of the Kingdom of Israel. The final years of Solomon's life were not filled with glory, but rather with a series of regrets. Despite having all the power, wealth, and fame one could desire, he eventually realized that these things could not bring peace to his soul. Solitude and a sense of alienation overshadowed his life as those around him gradually distanced themselves. His mind, no longer at ease with his accomplishments, was instead preoccupied with reflections on the mistakes he had made. The most painful realization for him was witnessing the division of the Kingdom of Israel, a clear sign of the spiritual loss that he could not restore. The prophecies of God had come true. After his death, the kingdom would no longer remain united, but would be split into two parts, Israel in the north and Judah in the south. This was not only a loss of territory, but also a profound spiritual loss, as a great kingdom built on faith and wisdom now faced an inevitable collapse. Solomon's regret in his final days was a clear manifestation of his deep awareness of his own mistakes. He had once possessed everything a man could desire: power, wealth, and fame. But when all of that had passed, he realized that without turning back to God and repenting, he would lose everything that was truly valuable to him. Though his regret may have come too late, it reflected a deep understanding of the value of faith and loyalty to moral principles. In the book of Ecclesiastes, one of his famous works, Solomon shared his reflections on life, the transience of everything on earth, and the futility of living solely for fame and wealth. He wrote, "Everything is vanity," a statement that reflects the tragic realization of a king who once held ultimate power, but ultimately recognized that all of it was empty without faith in God and the pursuit of noble virtues. The story of Solomon is not only a lesson about greatness, but also a warning about the fragility of power and the meaninglessness of material wealth. Even if one can build a great empire, even if one can achieve fame and wealth without a connection to faith and moral principles, everything acquired is just meaningless. And the very collapse of Solomon's dynasty is proof of the insignificance of the accomplishments humans can achieve without a solid foundation of faith and loyalty. It was these great achievements that caused Solomon to forget humility and core values. His arrogance led him to lose the wisdom he once had, and he became a tragic king full of regrets in his later years. The mistakes and wrong decisions he made in life made him realize that no matter how much power and wealth one possesses, it cannot compensate for the losses in the soul. His final years were filled with loneliness and sorrow as he faced himself and the questions about life and past decisions. So, what is Solomon's legacy? It is not only the great works or wise sayings, but also a lesson about humility and moral values. His legacy is a reminder that power and wealth are merely outer shells, unable to make up for the deep losses within the soul. Solomon's life, from light to darkness, from wisdom to regret, is a lesson on the fragility of humanity and life. What he left behind was not just accomplishments or unanswered questions, but a warning. Though one may achieve great things, without upholding core values, we risk losing ourselves. And in the end, legacy is not just about what we own, but how we live and the marks we leave for future generations. The story of King Solomon is not just a lesson about glory and decline, but also a profound reminder of the eternal values in life, from humility to faith and the awareness in every decision we make. Even with all the power and wisdom, he was not exempt from the mistakes that led to his downfall. If you found this story interesting and want to learn more about historical secrets, don't forget to like and subscribe to the Historical Owl channel to explore more engaging videos and mysterious stories from history. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our videos. Please share your thoughts about the story of King Solomon in the comments below. We look forward to your participation and discussion. See you in the next videos.